My name is Hope, and the first task we're going to perform today is feeding a client. So we're going to remember our common care practices that we learned earlier in the segment. Remember to go in the client's room, you'll knock on the door first, you'll shut the door for privacy, and you will announce who's coming in the room. Hi, Mr. Client. My name is Hope Linder. I'm going to be your healthcare aide today. I'm going to feed you breakfast. Will that be okay? Great. Now the client has told us he's ready to have breakfast. So prior to feeding your client, you will have washed your hands for safety precautions. And now we're going to put our gloves on. The reason you're going to glove before feeding a client is for their slobber, if food falls on the client off the spoon. It's not only protecting yourself, but it's also protecting the client. Also, you're going to make sure that you sit when feeding a client. For these video tasks, I'm going to sit on the side of the client so you can see how to properly feed the client. However, when you're feeding a client, for test purposes, please make sure that you're facing the client at all times. So the first thing you're going to do is make sure that the client has a clothing protector on. This is called a clothing protector. We don't call it a bib because a lot of clients get offended, so it's called a clothing protector. Excuse me. You'll make sure when you're putting on the clothing protector that you're always treating the client with dignity. You're asking them, is this okay, Mr. Client? I would like to make sure that we protect this beautiful shirt that your wife got you for Christmas. There you go. Now you saw that your client is sitting in the upright position. They now have their clothing protector on. This client is not able to feed himself, so therefore we're doing everything for this client. The next thing you want to do is make sure the client has some sort of beverage, either juice, milk, or water. So for test purposes, you're going to make sure that you have a clothing protector, a chair, a table to sit in front of the client, a plate, some kind of eating utensil, a napkin, a cup and a straw, some fluid, food, and an extra paper towel. This is what you need to complete this task, feeding a client. At that point, for testing purposes, you're going to make sure that you offer the client, we're feeding breakfast. So we've got oatmeal, fresh fruit, and sausage. Make sure that you're putting it in 3 separate sections and that it's a well-balanced meal, be it breakfast, lunch, or dinner. If it's lunch, you would do something like a sandwich, some pears or peaches or some sort of fruit, and then maybe some potato chips or pretzels so they have their starch. You might want to do a grilled cheese sandwich, a bowl of tomato soup, and some sort of dessert, fruit, maybe a piece of cake. Always, always make sure you have some sort of drink. For dinner, an idea would be a piece of meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and green beans. You can also add a roll. At this point, you're going to say to the client, Mr. Client, so how are you doing today? Great. I've heard you had such a wonderful weekend. We have some oatmeal. Would you like oatmeal? Would you like some eggs? Or would you like some sausage? Some oatmeal? Great. Is this bite too big? At this point, you're going to always promote the client's well-being. Ask them what size portion. Is it too large or is it too small? You're also going to ask them if you're feeding them something hot. Mr. Client, let me touch your lip. Is this too warm? And ask, because to you it may not seem warm, but to the client it may be. Also, you're going to ask them, do you like sausage? You do? Would you like a bite? During this whole time, during this task, you're going to ask the client, would you like something to drink? Make sure you offer the client their juice and encourage them to drink. Elderly people and people with disabilities often forget sometimes to drink, and they need to stay hydrated. So we're offering that throughout the task. Oh, Mr. Client, how are you doing? Oh, I see you're enjoying your breakfast. promote client well-being. At that point, you're going to use a napkin to make sure the client is being wiped and nothing's being spilled on the client and they're being taken care of, because that's how we would want to be treated. So at this point, you're going to leave the mouth area clean during the skill and at the end of the skill. Mr. Client, are you all finished? Great. Did you enjoy it? Wonderful. At this point, you're done feeding your client. You're going to take the clothing protector off the client, away from the client's clean clothes and away from you. So at this point, you can move your table out a little bit, take the clothing protector off. This goes in the dirty clothes. Don't throw it, just put it in the dirty clothes. Then you're going to take all the things from the client's table, make sure that the client's mouth and face is clean of debris. You're going to use your extra napkin to make sure that his table is clean. And you're going to throw these things in the trash. Now, at the beginning of the task, you're going to ask your proctor, am I using the client's personal items or are these throwaway items? And you'll know that at the beginning of your task. If they're client's personal items, they will need to be washed, sanitized, and put in the dishwasher, which is something we will go over during our task skills. If they are trash, you would throw them in the trash can. You would then take your gloves off. The proper way and procedure to take off your gloves is to grab from the middle and pull. Make a ball in your other hand. Take 2 fingers and go inside the glove. So you're never touching anything. This also would go in the trash. At that point, your hands are fine to offer your client, Mr. Client, how are you doing? Great. Would you like your remote? Awesome. I will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. At this point, you're done with this task.